Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Mazes. Okay, I can see that many of us are already waiting for the interview uh, by Mr. P2B that he will be granting to Arise TV this evening, right? And I can see that we are already all waiting to see what he is going to say. That is excellent. So that interview is going to be starting very shortly. And once it starts, we're going to bring you in. I would be sharing the link for you to join us after the interview to have a say when we will be analyzing the points that he made during the interview, the things that he has said, and your take. You have the opportunity to join me virtually here on NjenjeMedia TV for us to analyze the interview. This is going to be a very good interview for a long while. He hasn't really been on such, for a couple of weeks now, he hasn't been on such interview apart from the snippets and, really small interviews that people do grant him when he, after attending an event. Now, the topic that we'll be discussing today is going to be democracy under Tinubu's watch. How has the democracy under Tinubu progressed? What's your take? Has Tinubu done well? In the next 7 weeks, the president would have been spent 2 years already. And in the next couple of months, it would have been the beginning of the electoral cycle. You know, the politicians will begin to talk about their party primaries. And once that happens, the whole thing starts again. In this game, what do you think? Who do you think is qualified to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Many of you, and the reason why you're here is because you are obedient. You are eager to see Mr. P2B speak. That's why you are here. We will hear him speak, and you will also have your say. While we wait for him to come online, I want to use the opportunity to send my condolences out to those in Kano and for the lives lost in Uromi. A sad one. Sadly, so quickly, we are going to be going over now. Sorry, we are going to be going over now.
For political disruption and change in Nigeria after joining the union-backed Labour Party. And Peter Obi almost pulled it off in 2023 when, in a tremendous burst of energy and passion, he went from being regarded as an implausible candidate to very possibly the next president of Nigeria. But in the end, he came short. But now, after wallowing in the agony of defeat, he seems poised to return to the hustings and to make a comeback, insisting that the ruling APC party under the presidential leadership of Bola Tinubu remains uninspiring and has failed to deliver dividends of economic relief, social stability and democracy. So, with 2 years to go before Nigerians take another big ride on the political train, 2 years until the politicians are at war once again over the soul of this country, how complicated is the path to victory for Peter Obi in 2027? Does he have the ingenuity, and perhaps more importantly in the Nigerian context, the resources to pull the lever and effectively challenge the incumbency of President Tinubu? Can he once again muster the charisma, competence and credibility to instill in Nigerians, along with his zealous, obedient movement, the same sense of bright hope that almost determined the electoral outcome in his favor in 2023? or will it just be cheap shots galore and nothing to show for it in 2027?
Charles,
I'll be
take time.
joined imminently and exclusively by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election, Mr. Peter Obi. I'm Charles Enyegolu, and this is Arise Prime Time.
So Charles is going to come back. This is Arise Prime Time, as he said. Charles is a master in this game, a man I so much admire.
As the fight for the ultimate political prize looms once again, and Peter Obi prepares for another assault at the next presidential election, how does he intend to invigorate Nigeria's ethno-political trident to seal his electoral fate and beatify him in 2027? Well, if you ask his many obedient supporters, they'll insist that he's still the one of Nigeria's top politicians who continues to captivate sincerely without a hint of insincerity. They say there are no false emotions and no wasted words, nothing but a carefully nuanced argument in favor of the Nigerian people and against a system that continues to stifle the majority. And recently, that argument has been lampooning not only what they say is the government's dismal record on job creation and poverty alleviation, but also its disastrous democratic credentials, which they say is increasingly defined by a rising tide of authoritarianism, with any previous adherence to the Constitution and the rule of law seemingly now in retreat. Just look at what's happening in River State, they say. But beyond the words and what President Tinubu's aides call cheap shots galore, will Nigerians take notice in 2027? Or has the aura and the youth energy that surrounded Peter Obi in 2023 now faded away? Has that dream deferred become a dream that's died? And Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023, joins me now exclusively in the Rise studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for Charles.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the end of the holy month of Ramadan for Muslim people, of course, who've been fasting for a whole month and now celebrating at the end of it. So a period of special significance for Islam with lots of spiritual reflection. I wonder what your message is to Muslims at this auspicious time for them.
Well, like I said in my tweets, first is that they've been able, after the fasting and everything, been able to reflect about our country. It is now time to say, where do we go from here? And as I wish them happy Salah, I hope we will use whatever they've been able to reflect in the past 30 days to hope that we'll build a better Nigeria.
And as you talk pointedly there about reflection, let's reflect on the 2 years into President Tinubu's term, what is known as the midterm. As we look into what he's been doing for the last 2 years, how would you assess his midterm?
Well, Charles, you know, I always don't want to be involved in assessing this present government, because I've always remained consistent that he is doing well. Because what he promised the people is exactly what he's doing. That he will start and continue from where the previous government stopped. And that is doing well, Charles. You can go and use every measure. I've said it in this studio before. Somebody who made dollar at 300 and something, 400, is now 1,005. Charles is done.
He's done well.
Fantastic. Same in fuel, same in everything, same in unemployment, you know, everywhere, in terms of democracy, in terms of everything, is in on the sliding side. And that is doing well, because that's what he promised.
Well, I suspect they're likely to disagree with you. I mean, the president's team have suggested that his reforms are working and that his management prudence is bringing back
You what?
international confidence. They say that growth may be slow, but it's on an upward curve, and that Nigeria's fiscal position has improved considerably, which is the precursor to investing in infrastructure and innovation such as technology. But you don't agree with that assessment?
No.
Charles, when you talk about improvements, there are not things you say. There are things people feel. There are things people see.
Correct.
There are things that, it's just like when you talk about, I've listened to people say jobs are being created. Where are the jobs? You know, if you talk about job creation anywhere in the world, you see the figures. If you talk about improvement in education, you see it. Improvement in health, improvement in this. If you say the government is now doing the right thing, the democratic, the this, you will see it.
Yeah.
You just mentioned River State. So where is it? So we can see it. It's not a question of going to say, oh, investors are coming back. Where are the investors? Where are they investing? Companies are closing down. They're leaving. Local companies, manufacturing is going south. So where is it?
Clearly, you're not seeing it.
I am not seeing it.
Nigerians are not seeing it.
Are you possibly, as they say, missing the beat of the moment? His aides are suggesting that perhaps you're focusing too much on playing the opposition card and you're not seeing the increments that are gradually, making themselves felt in this country.
Charles, the Nigerians are not seeing it. I am one politician that moves around in Nigeria, and I know the feeling of the people.
Yeah, but what about prices in the market? I mean, there have been some, maybe not enormous reductions, but there have been some significant reductions, even in fuel.
If you're seeing it,
example,
let's see in the comment
petrol
section.
prices. I mean,
Where did we start?
They've fluctuated
Charles,
a little,
where did we
but
start?
they've come down.
Charles, where did we start? We started at about 200 to over 1,000, and now it's slightly below 1,000. You have to look at where we started. You didn't just say, oh, it's coming down. No, where did we start? What has changed? Consider the income of the average Nigerian. Those who are fortunate to have a job. What it now tells them if they're buying fuel.
So basically, your prognosis, your assessment, just to be clear, is that things have got worse, not better, in spite of the reforms that the president has put in. I mean, you're not agreeing that obviously reforms take a while to begin to be felt in the country, the removal of fuel subsidy.
But APC have been in power.
The regularization of price of cost of naira and all the rest of it. I mean, you don't think that those things are reforms that needed to be done? Wouldn't you have done that if you were president?
Charles, I believe that reforms take time for people to start seeing the gains of it.
Well, that's what their argument is.
But people have to see a clear roadmap that what they are sacrificing for
is worth it.
Let's take fuel subsidy, which they say there's huge savings.
Where is the savings?
Savings being challenged.
Well, they said, for example, and I'm not a spokesman for the government, but I have to play the devil's advocate because they're not here. I mean, they said that, for instance, more money is being given to the states. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, the amount of money that the states are getting, I mean, it's higher than it used to be. Although some are making the argument, and I suspect you're making the same argument, that because of the devaluation of the naira, what they're getting is not worth anything.
Charles, if you are making a savings, you said, I want to save this money to be able to invest where? You have to invest in critical areas of development. And those critical areas of development are education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. Are we investing in it? Just no.
Well, they would argue that they're investing in education. They're providing funds and loans for students, which has never happened in this country before, to allow them to be able to go
Charles,
through.
this country has universal basic education. And we have over 20 million children out of school. That is the critical area. It is the basic education that is the critical area. We're not doing anything in it. Just today, I visited an IDP camp. There's
Abuja?
over 40,000 people in IDP camps around Abuja. I'm not talking outside Abuja. The one I visited is in Abuja. With over 4,000, they don't have a primary health care.
4,000 or 40,000?
Over 4,000.
Right.
40,000 around Abuja. But 4,000 in this particular facility.
Right, okay.
They don't have a primary health care. They don't have a primary school. They used to have a primary school, which was there by UNICEF. It's closed down for the past 3 years. The kids are there. There's no primary school. There's no health care. So if you don't have that in Abuja, where do you have it? Where? And this is the one you said is free. Free and compulsory. So where are you investing the money?
So your conclusion then is that there isn't a clear plan and a trajectory, that it's kind of all over the place.
That is convincing. Because you have said, I'm removing this, you have to sacrifice, you have to suffer. Where are you investing it? It has to be clear. It has to be verifiable. It has to be visible. People have to see it. They have to feel it.
Right. Let me move away slightly from the economy, because you have suggested that President Tinubu's political decisions and counter decisions are both a cause for concern and a potential threat to Nigeria's democracy. Broadly, tell us more.
Well, I have said it and I maintain, Charles, there's no democracy in Nigeria today. Nigeria today is not a democratic country. Let's stop telling ourselves lies. If you look at all the tenets, look at all the yardstick of measuring democracy, it doesn't exist here. Simple definition, democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Today, the government we have is not of the people.
That's not by the people.
It's not by the people because the people
And it's
didn't
not for the
vote.
people.
It wasn't their votes. I'm not just talking about presidency. Across the line. Look at what happened in Edo. Can you call that democracy? It is not vote of the people. And it's not for the people. I've just told you that I went to an IDP camp where we have thousands of people, no primary health care. They were begging me to have one nurse, which I said I must make sure. They don't even have primary school, which again I told them I will make sure it happens. So what are you doing? For a country that just spent 21 billion naira to renovate a house for the vice president, which is not, hasn't packed it. It's not living
It
there.
hasn't occupied.
And you cannot even have a primary school for kids who are going to be leaders of Nigeria tomorrow. For people who pass through the same process, tonight deny these kids this opportunity today.
It's
So
criminal.
it is not a democratic country. So it's not for the people. You can't have a democracy without a functional and effective legislature, which you know we don't have today. You can't have a democracy without, again, an independent judiciary that fights for the common person. I can go on and on. In a democracy, it is clear. There's guidelines. Even when you set for people vying for election, like in Nigerian case, you have to talk about people must be qualified. They must have primary school, secondary school, university, and must attain certain age. Charles, that is not happening today. People are with unverified, forged certificates all over the place, criminal records and everything.
Analysis and certainly your assessment of what is going on there. But they would argue, the president's aides, that Nigeria may be a faltering democracy, but nevertheless it is a democracy. And one of the hallmarks for assessing that democracy is freedom of speech, and the fact that you can sit here and criticize the government and be quite, forceful in your criticism, forthright, that is a manifestation of at least a measure of democracy.
Just I can tell you that even me is being harassed every day. There's no freedom of speech. And you know that yourself, Charles. And I can tell you, and there's so many people who are being detained in one place or the other because they've made one statement or anything.
Well, I haven't been harassed, to be fair. But
yes, yes, maybe you've not been, but I have been.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I can tell you that even that doesn't exist. But we're not, when you say, yes, he exists, Charles, when you go for an exam and you score 10%, it's a fail. I'm just giving you the real measure of democracy. We failed in all of them. So it doesn't exist.
So having expressed this alarm, what do you anticipate to be the negative consequences of that threat to democracy that you talk about? What track is Nigeria heading towards as a result, and how damaging might that be? And how would you suggest Nigerians go about counteracting that?
Well, for me, we're headed, you know where we're headed. It will get worse. And when it gets worse, we're now going to threaten to a state of nature, of anarchy, where anybody can do anything you want. Everything is collapsing. Even when the people who are supposed to be seeing it are not seeing it. But you can see the negative impact in all the critical areas, even the education you mentioned, when you said people are being given scholarship to go to school.
Student loans.
Student loans. What is happening at universities, Charles? Our universities now are politicized, where appointments for management of universities are now political. You now fail local government election, you're appointed on your university governing board, where vice chancellors, they even have been appointed without merit and everything. And the consequences that you see universities now giving honorary degree to all manner of character of people. So even that is deteriorating.
His aides, and again, we have to balance the discussion, deny that there is any such threat to democracy. They say you are pulling the trigger on a non-existent gun and creating an unnecessary level of uncertainty where there is none. I wonder what your reaction is to that.
Charles, I said go to the people. It is not about me. I'm one with the people. They can say anything they like. When you are in government, you claim anything. But I deal with the reality. The reality is that things are headed south. Go and check all indices of development anywhere. I've told you what is improving. Is our literacy level improving? Is our health condition improving? Even them that are in government don't even go to hospitals here. So that shows that it's not even improving. The same thing goes. Are people being pulled out of poverty? There's still hunger everywhere. Is the agricultural produce increasing? Is manufacturing increasing? No. So where is it?
So in the context of this high uncertainty with regard to democracy and the rule of law that you talk about, that suggests unpredictability and, you know, especially for international investors, which is something they do not like. They don't like unpredictability. They don't like the lack of the rule of law, because obviously it threatens their investments. And ultimately that has an impact from what you're saying on the economy, doesn't it?
That's it. Charles, the first thing you can say that you have a government is security of life and property.
Yeah.
Rule of law. This is an intangible asset that you cannot ignore. It is critical. People go where there's law and order. Nobody goes where there's chaos. Where do you see the rule of law? You are here. You don't need to. I don't need anybody to tell you. You see it every day.
Well, all this talk about democracy and the rule of law leads me inevitably to what you talked about previously, which is Rivers State. I'm sure you've been seeing the rising political temperature there over the past few months, which has heightened with considerable tension. But was it enough for a state of emergency to be declared?
Capital no.
No, I agree with him.
You cannot, Charles,
In a democracy, you shouldn't.
take the action that have been taken in Rivers State for what happened.
Yes, I agree.
There's a clear path to dealing with that issue. Rivers State, for the past 2 years, have become ungovernable for obvious political reasons.
Say it now
And
because of
interest.
weekend. Say it.
We shouldn't
Weekend.
be in a democratic environment.
Person no go die.
It's clear. It shouldn't be. I have been a governor, and I have left government, had issue with the person that replaced me,
But you left.
my successor. But for God's sake, the state is far more important than anybody.
True.
We have a governor who have been sworn in as the governor. He should be allowed to govern.
So what is your sense of what is behind that presidential declaration? Does it all seem straightforward, or do you
No.
detect a sleight of hand there? I mean, we
Of
heard a few
course.
days ago the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, alleging that President Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers State is a tactic to intimidate governors who might not support the president in 2027. Is that a bit far-fetched, or do you subscribe to that school of thought?
Well, for me, what happened in Rivers State is very unfortunate and is impacting very negatively to the little or remaining inkling or democratic space we had. He eroded a lot from there. So, as for intimidating the governors for 2027, it shouldn't be. The governors are going to seek re-election. You're going to seek re-election. You're going to seek re-election based on what you've been able to do, your performance. On Nigerians, the governors just have one vote.
Mm-hmm.
It is because of what I told you that it is not a democratic country that you are trying to intimidate the governors.
So you believe that that's what he's trying to do?
If that is what I'm just telling you, if that is what he's trying to do,
Right.
it's because it's not a democratic setting.
But is it what he's trying to do?
I believe so. I believe so.
And of course, the manner in which the National Assembly, you touched on this briefly earlier, approved that state of emergency with a voice
Voice
vote,
vote.
is continuing to cause ripples across Nigeria and
Yes.
beyond. Do you agree or disagree with those who say that trust and confidence in the National Assembly has been eroded as a result?
Completely eroded. Very unfortunate. That's why I said there's no functional legislature.
No
Some of
functional
them
legislation.
are political setting doesn't exist in any democratic environment.
Okay, let me ask you to hold your thoughts there. Let's take a very short break and we will continue with this very interesting conversation, but to give you a minute to get a sip of water so that we can continue this chat. You're watching Arise Prime Time.
So, like I said to you guys, is indeed an interesting conversation. Just stay tuned. We're going to be back again. For those of you wanting to support us, you can basically do that. You can use the super sticker, the super chat. Now, in the first round, P2B had talked on a couple of issues, and he has touched on, core issues. If we may say, the conversation centered around the assessment of Bola Tinubu, where he clearly stated that Bola Tinubu is doing well. He is doing what he promised Nigerians. Do you understand that? Because recall that during the campaign, Bola Ahmed Tinubu said that he was going to continue where President Buhari stopped. And President Buhari took Nigeria, in his own word, from top to bottom. Now, maybe Tinubu is taking us from bottom to the abyss. We don't know. In the words of P2B, Tinubu is doing very well, excellently well, as promised to Nigeria. Verdon, speaking on the freedom of speech, in his view, he said that the freedom of speech in Nigeria is gradually being stifled. He talked about the IDP camps and gave example of the camp he visited in Abuja, where over 4,000 people were found in an IDP camp without the necessary things to life, no school, poor sanitation, and what have you. And he promised them to give them one nurse and see to the school. Probably he's going to build them a school. I do not know. Now, he talked about the state of emergency in River State, and these are the things that we would unpack, where we would want you, once this interview is done, to also come in and share your view on this platform. We will go back shortly the moment he comes back. They are not yet back, hence I'm just breaking this down. Then he talked about, in River State, the state of emergency, the impact of the state of emergency in 2027, and the voice vote that was used in the declaration of that emergency by the legislative arm, if that was necessary. If you ask me, I think that that was rigged, because for something of such national importance, there should have been no use of voice vote. We eventually found out that the former governor of Sokoto, that is the former governor of Sokoto, who is now a senator and the former House of Rep member, who eventually, and I think the senator representing Bayelsa, and the former governor of Bayelsa State, Dixon, who eventually told Nigerians that not all the senators actually agreed. But again, they rigged it. Recall in 2023 how people were told to go to court. It appears the senators were also told to go to court, and the rest is history. He also talked about non-functional legislation. Okay, I think they are about to come back now, so we are going to be going back to Abuja to get this in. So let's be on standby.
Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Anyekolu. Tonight, the redoubtable and some say relatable Peter Obi, the man who was able to galvanize a wide base of voters across this country that feel stifled by what they see as the bad governance of the two main parties, the APC and the PDP, and the economic crisis that they've plunged the country into. Mr. Obi, they say, gave them the opportunity to say enough is enough. But the APC managed to beat back that challenge, but only barely. And as the next election cycle approaches in 2027, with the economy still limping and President Tinubu looking Janus-faced to many Nigerians with a growing authoritarian side, many believe that his ruling APC party is once again looking vulnerable. And the collective opposition are sensing a moment that is emboldening them. But can they cross the inflection point and turn it into the political tsunami needed to tip the balance in their favor in 2027? And Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023, is still with me in the Arise studio. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. You were talking just before we went on a break about what was happening in River State, the state of emergency that was declared. You said it was unconstitutional, and you felt that the legislature, the National Assembly, had failed in its constitutional duty to checkmate that move. Were you struck by what appeared to be the absence of opposition voices in that process? I mean, you have Labour lawmakers in the National Assembly. You are a Labour man, Labour presidential candidate in 2023. And we didn't really hear much from them in opposition, did we? In spite of your very loud and unequivocal call for the state of emergency to be rejected. I mean, how much does that suggest that not only is the opposition, the Labour Party, very weak, but that you were unable to exert any influence on them?
Charles, before I go into the opposition, there were, even in the House of Representatives, a particular Labour member did everything possible to ensure that the right thing was done by ensuring that it is not a voice vote,
And the
that
numbers
is
as well.
a vote that must be properly recorded.
Yeah, you're talking about Obi Agwocha, who
Yes.
stood up, but
Yes.
that was a solitary voice.
That's what I'm saying.
Why didn't we hear more voices?
At least it's from Labour, because you said no opposition. At least from Labour, at least, and there were others like that. They were shouted down. Even at the Senate, there were voices like that, like former governor of Bayelsa State, former governor of Sokoto State.
Yeah.
There were voices.
Yeah, but they were not Labour.
No,
but they are
but
not.
you said opposition.
Yeah,
but in
Fair
general,
Voices, yeah.
the Nigerian political space was designed not to have opposition. Opposition doesn't exist here, Charles. If you want to look at where opposition exists, you compare us with other countries with similar trajectory. People have called me and said, look at what the oppositions are doing in South Africa. Look at what the oppositions are doing in other similar countries. But let's just use South Africa, which is, of course, the biggest economy in Africa today. And what they are doing, they have presidential system, but have been able to have a system that allows opposition to exist in their system. You cannot have opposition that is effective unless you have proportional representation in the legislature. If you don't have it, you're wasting your time. If you look at South Africa today, as it is, just check their election in 2019, ANC won 57.7% of the vote. They had 230 members. 2019, they had 40%. They had 160 members. While Democratic Alliance in 2019 had 20%, they had 80 people. In 2024, they had 21 plus, almost 22, they had 87 members. And that is the same thing for all other parties. And their leader is a member of that parliament. And you cannot cross from one party to the other, as you can do in Nigeria, without consequences. Once you cross from one party to the other, you lose your seat. Just even in the environment you know very well, the UK, you cannot have somebody from one party cross over to the other party without any consequence, without anything, and all that. So you have a system that works. And nobody's going to allow your member using contract, using this and all that, as is happening here. So it's a difficult thing. That's why we are clamoring that we must now change this constitution. We must now build a viable system. People have asked me, Peter, what are you going to do if you were there? I will make sure that this country is democratic. I will make sure that the opposition thrives by ensuring that I direct whoever and put all my own resources in terms of office to ensure that parties function the way they should. Today, they don't do that. You just have people doing all sorts of things in terms of, as I said, there's no democracy here. We need to fix it. Yar'Adua started doing it. He was sworn in here as the president, and he said, I will not allow the process through which I came to office to continue. I was a beneficiary of it, Charles. I had a free and fair second-term election. And that's what it should be. But instead of now having it growing the way you think things will be, we've taken 300 degrees reverse.
Well, you made a very interesting point there when you said that if you were to be the president,
yes,
that these were the actions you would take to shore up democracy in Nigeria. So let's talk about the positioning for power in 2027, because that's when, assuming you run for president, you will have another chance to test your popularity in Nigeria. Lots of reports about realignments and various political groups and individuals said to be coming together to wrest power from the APC. How much are you in that mix?
Charles, I'm one person who is very reluctant at talking about 2027. I'll just probably gloss over it. Because we have a critical situation, Charles, where we're not addressing it. We have a country where our debt in 2015 is between 15 and 17 trillion. Now we have a country with a debt of 150 to 170 trillion.
Jesus.
A country where our cost of debt servicing is now higher than our critical areas of budget for critical development, education, health, pulling people out of poverty. And we are discussing 2027. Just let's stay with what is happening today.
Yeah, but the fact is that you are
Yes,
discussing 2027.
I am part of it. I do all I say, and that's what I'm going to say now, is that whatever realignments, whatever coming together, we must discuss the future of this country. We're not just going to, I'm not going to be part of just wrestling power for power's sake. No. I want to know that we're going to do this in order to be able to invest in education, invest in health, invest in pulling our people out of poverty. How can a country with this size of uncultivated land not be able to feed itself?
Well, let me stay with that point of 2027. The reason is purely because it is enormously important, because those who support you, they want to see some sense of direction about what's going to happen next and whether or not you're going to try to realize that ambition again. I mean, some prominent opposition politicians have suggested that you should abandon your ambition of contesting the next presidential election and team up with Atiku Abubakar again as his deputy.
Which prominent politicians?
With an agreement. Well, I'm not going to mention names, but I mean, quite a number of them have suggested that you should team up with Atiku Abubakar as his deputy with an agreement that after one term he will work to make you president. They say that without this alliance, both you and Atiku will lose in 2027. What is your reaction to that?
We see.
Charles, elections are won, elections are lost
On the ballot box.
by the vote of the people. All these things you're talking and all these things people are talking is because we are not democratic. Charles, we are talking of working together for the sake of the country, not because of political posts. I've said it before.
But if you don't have political power, you
No.
won't be able to change the country.
Charles, agree with
Charles.
that. That's why I've always said, I'm not desperate to be president. I'm desperate to see Nigeria
This time
work.
you got to be desperate.
Charles, it is all these alliances,
You got to.
all these groupings that brought us to where we are today. Because people were blinded. Instead of seeing what they would do to make the country work, make the country productive, they were focused on
Sharing power.
wrestling power. What are we going to use the power to do?
No idea.
Yeah, but you ran for office in 2023. You wanted to wrest power from
Yes,
the
because
APC.
I wanted to do something.
Right.
Charles, I wanted to do something. I wanted to use it. By now, you would have been seeing the impact on education visibly. And I'm not talking about coming to say, people coming to say it in TVs. You will be seeing it visibly. I would have even been visiting the schools.
Well, that's why that's why some of
The health. You would have been seeing the primary. We have over 70% of our primary care are not functional.
But that's
You
why
would have
some of
seen
your
the change.
within
that's why some
local
of your
governments, though.
supporters are saying that for you to make this happen, you have to be able, you've got to be positioned, they say, to win the presidency.
Don't say my support. Don't just say.
Please like,
some
share,
of
and
my
subscribe,
followers.
please.
That's
I
it.
want
Your
Nigerians to know
supporters.
it is about their country.
Indeed.
So many Nigerians today don't know where the next meal will come from.
Fact.
They don't know. Several people have been to hospitals where people can't leave the hospitals because they can't pay.
Hospital bills.
We have less than 5% insurance, health insurance in this country, when comparable countries like Indonesia have 95%.
Yes, but you're not going to
We
be able
have-
to change
we-
that
no,
unless you become president.
No, but the people have to know
Right.
and know that this man can do it.
Well, the argument is that even if you win in 2027, you'll be forced or prevailed upon to hand over to the North after just one term in
Yes.
2031,
And so what?
which will not be enough for you to
No, it's more than
fulfill
enough.
these electoral.
Charles,
Let me just make the point. These
it's more than
electoral
enough.
promises. Whereas if you worked with a one-term northern presidency in 2027, you'd be more likely to scale through in 2031, assuming the North keeps to the agreement. Does that sound like a reasonable proposal to you? Because you mentioned Yaradua, who came into office. He had to come into office before he started trying to change things.
Charles, the president that is there today, how many years has he stayed?
2.
2 years. And you could see where we are.
And the
Look at the
electoral
turn of things
disaster.
in 2 years. That means that you can change things in 2 years.
Yes.
If I was there in 2 years, Charles, that you would have seen considerable change in critical areas I would have tackled corruption head on.
Mm-hmm.
I would have reduced cost of governance. And you will see it. People will feel it. And those monies invested in critical areas. Our primary health care today, I told you, 70% are not functional. And we spent over 35 billion in conference center. Which conference? Who is coming for the conference? You need to invest your money properly. Charles, you have been seeing borrowed money invested in critical areas.
This man not go kill me.
We, a country in Bangladesh with 148,000 square kilometers of land is producing about 60 million metric tons of rice. And us, with over 6 times that size of land, cannot do 10% of that.
Wow.
Charles, there's room here. You talked about devaluation of Naira. There's nothing wrong in devaluation. I would have done something. I would have allowed the Naira to float. But I would have done it in an organized manner. There will be productivity. The idea of devaluing your currency, allowing it to float, to be cheaper, is that you have productivity so you can export, so people can come and buy. But when you don't have productivity and you devalue your currency, it's double whammy because you have nothing to sell. So I would have injected money in productivity. Today, nobody is producing anything. Somebody told me a few days ago, said, oh, they've removed there's no more tax or this on some of the manufacturing inputs and everything. And all. I said, no. How can you manufacture? How can you do business when your interest rate is over 40%? Yeah, one of the biggest costs of manufacturing today, cost of production today, is interest rate. Because nobody borrows money at over 40% to do a business that is shared. You can only borrow, it's only government that is borrowing that amount of money at that cost. So you need to do the right things, and you can do it.
So what would be the thrust of your attack then on President Tinubu in 2027 that might tip the balance in your favor? I mean, you've talked about, the economy, you've talked about democracy, the rule of law, which you say suffered a setback. Given all that, what would be your strategy to erode confidence
Alexander, thank you for
president and
subscribing.
convince the Nigerian people to go with you rather than him?
It is not enough that your aides are running around. You, who is the main person, have to have an idea, be competent, have the capacity, have the compassion, the energy to do the job. It is not something you can lease out. Governance, leadership, is not something you can just hire somebody else to do for you.
Not by PowerPoint.
You should be the one. Answerable to the people, doing the right things. You're the chief person.
Commander-in-Chief.
And you should be in charge.
Correct.
We have too much of delegated responsibility here.
Ugonna, thank you very much.
Very briefly, because we're fast running out of time. We've got less than 5 minutes now. Are you going to stick with the Labour Party, given the disarray that's in the party?
The disarray is caused by government.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter who caused it.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Yes.
Are you going to stick
I'm in Labour Party. I'm in Labour Party.
And are you going to stick with the Labour
Well,
Party?
I'm there because I'm there. It's not something I can tell you now. I'm there today. And as time go on, Charles, if it changes, I'll tell you. But I'm a member of the Labour Party. And these are one of the things I said I will do. I will make sure that parties work. I will protect democracy and make it work.
Some would say Labour Party isn't working under you.
No, it has nothing to do under me. I'm not the one running the party. Charles, I've been involved in all this. If government today is democratic and they want democracy to thrive, all these things will work. Put me anywhere.
So you can only make the change if you're president.
I've told you, Charles, I saw this under, we had a problem under Yaradua, for example, in my party. He told it, in front of me, he told the INEC chief, I don't want all these party issues in front of me. I want it to happen. I don't want all this. So you have to say you're democratic, practice it.
Richie, thank you.
Believe in it. Whether it favors you or not. Because that's what you want. You want to build a better, decent society that is organized.
Right. Okay. We've got a couple of minutes left before we have to go, which is rather sad because I'm enjoying talking with you. Before we go,
Charles, we will do that at the 10th floor.
After what's been clearly a rather depressing discussion about the future of Nigeria, cheer us up with one thing that could make this country look better to the world.
Well, Charles, I wish I can tell you. The only thing I can tell you is that it is what is happening can be turned around with a competent leader that has the capacity and compassion to serve. Because we have low-hanging fruits. There's nothing in following the rule of law. There's nothing in ensuring orderliness. There's nothing in fighting corruption. You know, people say it's difficult. It is not. If you are not involved, you reduce it by 50%.
Please subscribe. Please subscribe.
There's nothing
clap
in
clap for P.O.
in critical areas of development.
Let's clap for him.
We borrow him money.
He has done well. Clap for him and subscribe.
Invest that money properly. Tell Nigerians, come out.
Clap for him with your subscription.
Leaders come out every day and address their people. Make sure I address Nigerians at least once every month.
Oh, another clap.
They want to know. I want to visit universities and tell them what is happening. I want to tour the states and see for myself what is happening.
Workaholic president.
What it should be. We can change it. It's happened before.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, and we really appreciate
in the comment section now
to come and talk to us. Mr. Peter Obi is the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, or was the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Charles.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.
Charles, thank you very much for that fantastic job. Now, let's go to the next segment, which is, what do you think about this interview? What do you think? What do you think about this interview? And let me tell you, do not go away. Do not go away. Stay with me, people. Let's do this together. In the comment section, you will see the link for you to join us. So what we're going to do now is also to ensure that that link is, for those of you joining us on YouTube, just to ensure that that link is also pinned to the top so that it's easy for you to find it. We just pinned it to the top so you can easily find it. Now, join us to have your say. Now, okay, Tony, thank you very much for joining us. Please, if you join us, make sure you turn on your camera. If you can, put your camera on landscape. Landscape means turn up your camera, put your phone like this on landscape. Okay, so if you do that, it's going to help. Okay, so quickly, let me quickly do a recap before I start taking people in. And sorry, when you are turning your camera on landscape, make sure you turn on your auto rotate so that your camera rotates with you, so that your head doesn't rotate like Nigerian government. Now, the general feel here is that many of you feel that PO is talking tough. Many of you in the comment section says that you like the new PO 2.0. Some of you are questioning where is his Malaysian dressing that he dropped it for this interview? So many things here. It's not going to be me that's going to say all these things. Let me bring in. I have Tony. You are outside the Nigerian government. You turned yourself upside down. Okay, then come in that way. Let's see. So Tony, what's your take?
This is wonderful. I haven't seen.
Go ahead, Tony. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
This is PO in his elements. Great performance, and my confidence in him is it's further confirmed. I think this is very presidential, and I wish him well.
So what do you think when he's? Oh, are you joining twice?
No,
I can hear your feedback. I can hear your feedback. I don't know where that is coming from. Okay. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So for some reason, I can hear it, but it doesn't matter. Let's crack on. So, what's your general feel? Like I said, some people say that he started talking tough. Some say this is the period they've been waiting for so long. So, do you agree with that school of thought that think that it's time he talks stuff like this?
I think we are beginning to see the real PO. I think circumstances are beginning to shape and model his intervention in the affairs of the country. He has spoken well. There's nothing that I see that he said that is not true, and I think that this is how opposition should be. Everything that he said for me is top notch. He was spot on. Nigeria really needs, if this country must move forward, we're not looking for opposition that is just there to come and grab power. We're looking at opposition that is visionary, opposition that can turn Nigeria around, because we all will benefit if we have that kind of situation. The country is really being run down. It's unfortunate, and something urgently needs to be done.
So I don't know. People are complaining that it is echoing. So I don't know where the echo is coming from.
Probably from me. It might
so
just be
make sure you're not running into browser. If you can leave and come back, that's fine. Let me take something. Samson, are you there?
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So let's try that. Is it still echoing? Would you mind turning on your camera, Samson? Samson, can you say something? So for those of you asking for the link, Samson, we can't hear you. You keep muting yourself. Okay, let me take you out once you're ready, then we'll bring you back in. And for those of you on the comment section saying that where is the link? The link is, if you're joining us from YouTube, the link is pinned at the top. So go to the comment section, look at the pinned comment. That is where the link is. Just click on the link, allow your mic, and make sure when you join that you, first of all, allow your camera to rotate. Just put your camera on auto rotate. The video quality is normally better when you come in and you're in landscape mode. Okay, so that's it. So Samson, are you ready? Are you there, Samson? Samson, are you ready? Are you there? If you have a headset, can you take it off? Maybe your headset is what is causing this. I don't know. Are you there, Samson? Oh, okay. So take out your headset and you can come back. Now, for those of you on Facebook, check the comments section. You will see the link to join. Now, let's quickly recap for those of you who joined late. general feeling of this conversation between Charles Anagolo and His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. People think that PO is now talking tough. PO started by assessing Tinubu's government, and he said is doing very well, that he is doing what he promised. Recall that during the election, Tinubu promised that he's going to continue from where Buhari stopped. Uche, are you there? Uche, are you there? Uche Chikeluba, are you there? What's wrong with, is any of you there? I can't hear any of you. Unmute if you want to say something. Samson or Uche, if you're there, unmute yourself. Okay, probably both of you are having network issue. So just click on the comments, go to the comment section, you would come in, then we'll take you. So what I was saying before is that Peter Obi talked about the freedom of speech under Tinubu, which obviously, in his view, isn't that much rated. He talked about the IDP camp in Abuja, where he visited, and they had over 4,000 Nigerians in Abuja, the seat of power. Recall we have an FCT minister whom I do not believe have visited there, and we have a Labour Party senator, and it beats me to think of what they do. So, you know, this is not an anti-APC thing. We knock everyone as long as it's about good governance. Even if you're Labour Party, PDP, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not doing the right thing that we feel it's what you ought to do for the people, you're going to be getting a knock from us. Oxborn, he just joined us. Oxborn, are you there? Oxborn, are you there? What's happening to all of you? Okay, so let's see if I can take the first person that's coming with video. Ike, are you there? You are now unmuted, Ike. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. So
okay. Good afternoon, Mazos. Okay, thank you, man.
We are fine. So did you watch the interview?
Yes, I was watching. I watched the whole interview on my television. I was watching everything on my TV. So
you're lucky.
The interview just finished.
And, you're lucky. You have NEPA. You have light.
No. Yeah. You know, it's okay. I don't live in Nigeria. You should know that by now. I'm not living
that's
in
you see, lucky you now. So you're not buying. You are not buying. You're not buying diesel and petrol to power your distance. So that's why. Okay. No. Let's quickly run that. I have other people joining now. Quickly, what do you think about the whole interview?
My brother, it was topical of Mr. Peter Obi, authentic, and I think this time it was forceful, and it was forceful with his words. He wasn't mincing any words. He wasn't painting any picture. It's authentic of our principle of Mr. Peter Obi. So I was pleased, and I'm happy that he is still. I think 2023. And all the happening event in Nigeria has really reshaping our principle. And I think he is beginning to understand the realities in Nigeria and what is really on the ground. Beginning to understand the Nigerian political landscape, to know he has come to grasp and understand, even though he might know before, but I think it has become a reality to him to understand what the political landscape in Nigeria looks like. And
so, in other words, in other words, what you're saying that he is now beginning to know that gentlemanism does not give you presidency.
Yeah, exactly. If you listen to the interview attentively, and if you follow the wordings and the way he presented his interview with Chad, that's why I spoke about it being forceful. I can see forcefulness in his words, and I can see authentic in his word, and I can see lesson learned, because all those things culminate into the way he was speaking and his travel in 2023 and what has been happening to him personally or individually as Mr. Peter Obi as the only authentic opposition candidate we have in Nigeria. I think everything is falling apart into his mindset and what he's thinking about Nigeria, and if he is going to continue in the political terrain of Nigeria. Probably
Okay.
the system is not going to be the way it was in 2023.
Thank you very much for that insight. So let me quickly bring in Samson. Are you ready? Samson, are you ready? Francis, are you there? Hello, Francis.
Yeah, I'm here.
So, what's your take?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What's your take? Francis, what's your take? I can hear you loud and clear. You know, when certain network does certain things, it gives away the location of certain individuals. You know, when MTN, Glow, and Airtel, when they do certain things to you, that gives away your location. So, but Samson, go ahead. You have been unmuted. We're only seeing your eyeglasses like a jaguar.
It's okay. In my screen here, it's showing that Samson is muted, so I don't know where the problem is
No,
from.
he just muted himself now. Samson, can you unmute yourself? I unmute him, but he mutes himself back. Okay, Samson, you've been unmuted now. Go ahead. I think those of you that are having technical issues, I think it's better you leave, come back again, pay attention when you click on the link. The links, just make sure you are in a very good internet area, because I think Samson is freezing. I don't know. What I can only see on the screen is like Black Panther with the two eyeballs there. Samson, are you there? Or Francis? Okay, Francis is Samson is gone. Francis is still there. So Francis, please could you leave and come back again? Thank you. So could you leave and could you log off and come back again, please? Okay, now let's come back while others join us. And for those of you who may wish to, if you think you can't join us if you think you cannot join us through this platform and you wish to call through WhatsApp, this is the number to call on your screen. To contribute to this program, please call +234 708 004 2206. That's NjenjeMedia. Please call this number, then we can take you by audio, right? Ike, let me come back to you. You listened to him when he talked about the River State and the National Assembly.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Says, okay, you have been a follower of Mr. Peter Obi for a very long time, so you can understand his mode of speaking, but you can see the frustration, the anger, and the frustration in him about what took place in River State, and most importantly, what happened at the National Assembly. And that was why when Charles was asking him personally that you are the leader of Labour Party and you couldn't influence anybody to, the opposition. Then we don't have an opposition, but in your own party, almost everybody fizzled away. So his reply to you is that it was even only in the House of Rep, it was only one Labour Party candidate man who tried to stood up, but they were shouted down. And he gave example of the former governor of Bayelsa and Tambuwa of Sokoto State or so in the Senate.
PDP, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he came back again to say, this is why, Charles, I am telling you that there is no opposition in Nigeria. There is no democracy in Nigeria. Because we are practicing a democracy where somebody can wake up in the morning, jump from A to B, from B to C, from D to C. There is no consequences. So he gave an example of South Africa, where you have proportional representation in the parliament, which means the leader of the opposition is a member of the parliament. And it's not like you are going to jump from Action Democrat to ANC or from ANC to another party. No, it doesn't work like that. You also gave an example of Britain, where you live the long.
Sorry, Ike.
Okay.
Hold your thought on there, on the parliamentary democracy. Let me quickly move to Frank and see if Frank is now able to talk. Okay. Frank, we can hear music. Are you in a place where they sell shawarma? Francis, stop dangling now so that the blessing will locate you. You're dangling too much. Are you able to speak now, Francis? You are frozen once more, Francis. So Francis, let me take for the last time. Are you able to speak now? Your village people actually doesn't want you to speak because they are really... Okay, go ahead. They have left you.
that is funny. But I can hear you though.
So go ahead. Go ahead. Now we can hear you. So what's your general impression about this interview?
Okay. His Excellency Peter B. is a delight to watch any day when he's can you hear me?
We can hear you, but the headset is muffling a little bit. If you play less with it, that will work. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. It's you can remove the headset if need be.
Okay. The headset is off. You can hear me.
Excellent. The headset was actually your problem.
Okay.
Let's hope.
So, His Excellency Peter B is.
Go ahead, please.
This network can be frustrating, but I refuse to be frustrated by them anyway. So, Peter B, my president, is always a delight to watch, particularly this evening when I heard him talk. It's more forceful compared to other times. Yes, it's like he's listening to people. And he actually took it to them this time around. Although what I enjoy him speak is the statistics that he bandy that can be verifiable is what endeared me to him. And you can see with his tomorrow you see barrage of attacks coming from the attack dogs of the APC tomorrow. And no matter what they try to do, you see that this is crazy.
We are still listening to you. Francis, we are still listening to you. Okay. Apparently it's not working out well for him. So let me come to you now. If I piggyback to you, you were talking about when he talked about the River State, and you moved into talking about the parliamentary democracy as obtained in South Africa and the comparison that he made. So would you pick up from there, please?
Yes, why I brought the Britain is you yourself, man, says, okay, you lived in Britain. I know you still live there, but most of the time you're in Nigeria, so you understand the parliamentary system of government probably more than myself. But I think that when we look at other, democracy, like in other countries of the world, like the so-called the British, the South Africans, and I think Canada and Australia, where the oppositions also have the opposition leaders are in the parliament. I think that's the only way we can really have a democracy. But like Mr. Peter B, as a philosopher, the way he picks his word, if you are not somebody who know him or who don't follow him, he doesn't. If you want him to begin to detail everything to you, it will be difficult. You cannot give it to you. So, but what I generally understood is that Mr. Peter B has come to understand that there is no opposition in Nigeria, and there is no internal political democracy in Nigerian political parties. And he have come to realize that because of this situation, for you to say that you are an opposition in Nigeria, it takes a lot of gut. It takes a lot of things for you to stand out among other politicians in a country like ours, where somebody wake up today, he becomes a labor, the member example, all the members of the Labour Party in the House of Rep and Senate, almost all of them has become to APC. So automatically it is what it is, which means the lesson of 2023 has opened our eyes, we the obedient and Nigerians. Now we know that we are watching out for 2027. That most of these people who ride on the back of our principle to get where they are, 2027 is going to be a year we are waiting for them. So I think generally, Mr. Mazes, okay, Mr. P2B is trying to tell Nigerians it is difficult for you to be an opposition leader in Nigeria. But even in that midst of difficulties, will not stop you from making your case before Nigerians. And that's why when he married it with when Charles was talking about realignment and the rest of them, he told him, listen, what is realignment? Do you need anybody to become president? It is just one vote. It's Nigerians that will vote. Either you win or you lose. That's what election is all about. It's not about Mr. Ezoke realigning with me or me realigning with somebody. Nigerians, the Nigerian people will decide who wins an election. So I think that Mr. P2B has, I think 2023 has really built him, has sharpened him, has made him so many, he has come to broadly understand the politics that is being played in Nigeria. But he's trying as much as possible to remain focused, to remain to his ideals, to remain to what he believes in, his principle, and everything that he believes in. Because in a political environment like our country, Nigeria, it is easy to cave. It is easy to cave in, but he has stood his ground and he's still standing his ground. If he's the only long man in Nigeria, he has no regret about that, and he cannot force him to be who he's not. You cannot force him to become a godfather, like when Charles was asking about why didn't you run into Labour Party members in the National Assembly. Mr. P2B is the man who believes in process. They are there now working for their constituency. They are not working for him. So if they decide to sell their birthright to Akpabio and the other people, 2027 will determine if they comes back, right? So I think that Nigerians should be prepared for 2027, because I think our principle is going to come out in a different form in 2027. So I was really impressed. And like as always said in every platform that I joined, that when people abandon the issue of alignment, this and that and this and that, I said I am holding Mr. P2B my principle on 3 key words. And until when he speak to us, the obedient community worldwide, then I will be able to make my own judgment and assessment. Which is,
and what are those words?
One of those words is what Mr. Charles asked him today. Are you going to join an alignment in the process of just to grab power. He has always stood and said, everywhere, if any alignment or cooperation or an association is to grab power, count me out of it. I am not going to be part of any realignment that is only just for the grab of power. But those associations, they have to state out clearly what is their vision and their mission. If it is not okay with whatever they are talking about, is walking away. It's not going to join them to just grab power for themselves. If it has nothing to do with the well-being of Nigerians, can't Mr. Peter be out? The second thing, which I know I was there on that day on Mr. Dr. Damage's platform, it was sure that I asked him, are there people in Nigeria that you cannot work with? Mr. Peter Obi stated clearly, he didn't check, he didn't think 1 second. There are Nigerian politicians that I will never work with. So those are the two key words I am holding. And also what he said in Enugu last 2 weeks in Igbo, I have not left Labour Party. So these 3 things is what I am holding. More especially those 2 key things. Are there people in Nigeria that we cannot work with? Yes. Because there are rascality everywhere. Are you going to be a part of any association just to grab power? If it is to grab power, Mr. Peter Obi is not going to be part of it. So, in my heart and heart, my brother is okay. I am excited and I'm holding him to those words until when I see shift from those words. Those two sentences is very important to me, my brother.
But in politics, nothing they say is permanent. Exactly. Not even your own decision. In fact, actually, I make bold to say, when you want to play politics at top league, at some point, in certain key decisions, moving into primaries and moving into parties that may be of the vehicle, certain decisions may go beyond individuals. So I think we may have to play very careful in, kind of saying, hold him account for this or that. I mean, sometimes you may want to take certain decisions, but politics is not about sainthood. It's not about people who are sanctimoniously, centered, that they have to be, things have to be in colored, or rather in black and white. Things could sometimes have dotted lines. That's politics. And these are things that could be politically expedient. Now, having said that, let me take you back to the beginning. For those of you who are joining us, if you wish to join the conversation and to help us air your own view on the analysis we are engaging now, on the interview granted this evening, which we all watched live on this platform, between Mr. Peter Obi and Charles Anagolo. If you want to do that, in the comment section is the link to join us. Just click on the link. Make sure you allow your camera and you allow your microphone to pick your voice. Then you can come in here. It's that simple. Having said that, let me play this clip for us. When he was asked, what do you think about Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government? The answer was quite interesting.
Reflection. I wonder what your message is to Muslims at this auspicious time for them.
Well, like I said in my tweets, first is that they've been able, after the fasting and everything, been able to reflect about our country. It is now time to say, where do we go from here? And as I wish them happy Salah, I hope we'll use whatever they've been able to reflect in the past 30 days to hope that we'll build a better Nigeria.
And as you talk pointedly there about reflection, let's reflect on the 2 years into President Tinubu's term, what is known as the midterm. As we look into what he's been doing for the last 2 years, how would you assess his midterm?
Well, Charles, I always don't want to be involved in sexing this present government because I've always remained consistent that he is doing well. Because what he promised the people is exactly what he's doing. That he will start and continue from where the previous government stopped. And that is doing well, Charles. You can go and use every measure. I've said it in this studio before. Somebody who made dollar at 300 and something, 400, is now 1,005. Charles is done fantastic. Same in fuel, same in everything, same in unemployment, everywhere, in terms of democracy, in terms of everything, is in on the sliding side. And that is doing well. Because that's what he promised.
Well, I suspect they're likely to disagree with you. I mean, the president's team have suggested that his reforms are working and that his management prudence is bringing back international confidence. They say that growth may be slow, but it's on an upward curve, and that Nigeria's fiscal position has improved considerably, which is the precursor to investing in infrastructure and innovation such as technology.
Okay, so now listening to that, I think we have, okay, the other person that joined us just left as well. Listening to this, saying that the APC has done well, exceedingly well. What do you think?
Yeah, my brother is, he has always said that because during the campaign, the man in Asorok said that he will continue from where he left. So every indices has shown, 99.5% indices have shown, he is keeping to his promises. From where he took us from when the last president left, from where he kept us now, it's exactly that he's doing what he has promised Nigerians. So what myself or what me as an individual will say is that I think that the lessons that we have learned in 2 years, if Nigerians can ever in their lifetime learn lessons, I think that if democracy is what is supposed to be, I think that this government can never survive 2027. Because the reason why I'm saying this is that 75% of their time and energy and resources is kept on pursuing Mr. Peter Obi. I'm trying to force other political parties to join APC. The time that they're supposed to spend to listen to critics, because Mr. Ozoke, you have people working for you, and I work in a company where I am a head of a particular department of where I work. There is nothing that makes anybody to grow in a place of work like feedback. Feedback is not a criticism. You can call it criticism, but it helps you to know more. It helps you to grow. It helps you to know. It helps you to advance your knowledge and make you to work work in a way that it will be smooth for everybody working around you. But this is a government who doesn't want anybody to say anything that is not
If I may interject here, he said something that, in his own manner of speak, or rather in his own manner of speaking, he said something that meant, when he referred that the president speaks through spokespersons, meaning that the president was not speaking to Nigerians.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the president, that's when he alluded to the fact that were he to be the president, he would speak to Nigerians directly at least once every month. Now, in that line of argument, he is someone that visits all visitable, if I permit me to use that conjuncture. And earlier today, which he also alluded in this interview, he visited the during me IDP camp in Abuja, and this video was recorded. I want to seek your thoughts on this.
Child must have a basic education. But here we have people in IDP camp littered all over our capital in Abuja. Over 40 of them, 40,000 of them, without any primary school. And everybody knows that the most, number one, most important thing for development is education. And that is what you're not giving them. It doesn't matter whether you build anything, as long as they're not educated, it won't work. So we need to educate them. We need to make sure that they're healthy. Like I said earlier, all these kids they are seeing here are the future senators, House of Rep members, governors, and presidents. And we must educate them now. Because those of us who are there today, we are once like them. But because we are given education, we cannot continue this way. This is what is happening in our country. And we are busy celebrating profligacy, irresponsibility, and everything, when we should be diverting the resources to this place.
What's your message to the authorities?
To all of us, not just the authorities. To all of us who are today celebrating, thinking we are doing well, this is time to rethink and put our resources on this people. These children are the future. These mothers help us to build a better future. It is not good that I'm here. We need to do something better.
So now, listening to that clip, it shows something. He's a man who so much believes in education, I believe so. A man who so much believes in education. Because you can see everywhere he goes, either he visits School of Nursing, he gives them money, or he visits one technical school, the other, he gives them money to build, to buy equipment. In the IDP there, he made promises of ensuring to build a shelter for them, a private citizen for that matter, I must note. And there was a time he moved around up north, drilling borehole, and people who didn't have water for, decades suddenly start drinking, well, better than what it was. So when you consider all these things, and I mean, someone who is not in power, but goes around, as the Bible says, goes around doing good, what would then happen if I borrow the words of Dr. Damages? If a man who is not yet in power does that much as a private citizen, what then happens if he gets into power? Do you think things would be different, or do you think he will continue in that trajectory?
My brother, this is the nature of this man. Is from upbringing. This man, honestly speaking, is a special species, and this is not because of politics. This man, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, is a special species in a human form, and this is his life. He's not pretending it. He's not doing it for sycophancy. He's not doing it for because he wants to be president of Nigeria. This is his life. This is what gives him life. I give you an example. Let me draw an example to my mother when, may God bless her soul. One of the things that kept my mother alive is giving people food. And when you try to deny this woman that thing that gives her joy for doing those things, it diminishes their life. And by the time we discovered that, we decided to let our mother be. Because this is our nature, this is our life. My mother can go and share food and go hungry and share the food she's supposed to eat now and give it out to other people. That's her life. And I think that's what gave her life, That's what kept her alive for the age of 89 years when she passed on. So I think that Mr. Peter Obi is sincerely and genuinely, this is his life. Is it only me, this young man, that has acquired so much money to the point that the way he spent his money that he worked for? No. There are millions and millions of Nigerians who are even more better in his position that are not doing anything. So I think that if this man happened to have the opportunity to go to Asorok to work for Nigeria, Nigerians will forever remain grateful that Mr. Peter Obi was once a president of Nigeria.
Ike, please hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts a little bit there.
Yeah.
I have joining me through the telephone Nana Kazaure, who is the communication director of the Obedient Movement, who was with Mr. Peter Obi moments ago during the interview. I just want to have his her idea as to the interview. Nana, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Good evening. I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Nana.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes. Earlier today, you people, I saw that you were among the team that went to that IDP camp. Listening
yes,
to.
That was yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday. Sorry. Yeah.
Yesterday. So, today we went to Katsina to see the governor.
Okay. For the condolence visit, right?
Yes.
So now, if we piggyback to the visit of the IDPs. If you think that we have a nation where citizens, we are not at war, citizens now live in IDP camps, some for over 10 years now, how does that make you feel, considering that we have what it takes to have relocated these individuals back to their houses?
No, when you go to IDP camps and you see the quality of people, for example, there was an elderly man who came to talk to us. He's a teacher, a literal luminary, and even from his spoken English, you could tell that this person is highly, highly educated. And at one point, he told us that he had lost everything. And he was talking to us about the school. He was so particular about education, about how the school was donated to them by 3 youth coppers and for 7 years ago. And in the past 3-4 years, the school has been shut down. So PO was all of us were just shocked, because when we were there in January, they didn't explain it to us in detail as this man did. So it's sad that we're not at war, but we have over 500 children within a particular demography who aren't going to school. If you listen, we listened to the man, and he was telling us that there were some children who came here a few years ago. They were 10 years old. Now they're past the age of 18. And yet they still have not been able to get qualitative education, quality health. Sometimes even when they have to go to federal hospitals, it's more or less that these same people that have lost everything are sort of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, kidnapped within the hospitals so that they can now pay their hospital bills, which now is like a double whammy of tragedy, because it's bad enough that you were able to run for your life from from what you know, your ancestral home, and now you're in a strange place and you're at the point of death, and yet you can't receive treatment, or even when you receive the little treatment that you can't even go back to the little environment that you know, because you can't pay your bills. That's a failure in the system itself. It's a huge indictment on the government. It is such a tragedy. And it would be nice to see the government start even with the little clusters. A little bit of raindrops is what now makes an ocean, it's what fills a bucket. It's those little raindrops that fill a bucket, that create a puddle, that make a pond, that make a stream, and if we could just start with the little, you see, it will boomerang, it will grow and snowball into bigger things. And these are the things that PO was talking about. Let's piggyback let's go back
Yeah.
to his interview. He just kept talking about three things. If we can educate the people, if the people can have healthcare, you know, he said Nigeria's NHIS is just about 5%. But a country like Indonesia, their NHIS is so
95.
important. Well, their own health insurance, not NHIS in Indonesia, is so important to them that they have 95%.
95%, yeah.
If Nigerians are healthy and educated, then you will see that the government won't even have to do so much because the people themselves will have the wherewithal. The people themselves will have the thinking. So we will not be going around cap in hand and, you know, hoping that the government will keep coming to beat the you know, for the government to start to rescue Nigerians. Nigerians themselves will rescue themselves. It's just simple.
Okay.
And that's what if you watch PO's interview, there was a time where he said, he was like, I want the Nigerian people themselves to know.
So it's not about the election,
yes,
but
it's not
for
about the election, it's
yes.
not about him. He wants Nigerian people to know what is their rights. And that's why he even said it, that universal basic education is the right of every Nigerian child. Are they getting it? So that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yes. So Nana, before I let you go,
and when this government now says things like, "Oh, this is the first time Nigerians are being given scholarships to go," that's not true. That's not true. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Let people go and verify. Nigerian governments. In fact, Nigeria has been accused of being a social government because there are people who are enjoying who enjoyed the Nigeria
bursary.
That was a socially.
It was called the bursary then, yeah.
Exactly. So it's not true that this is the first time Nigerians are being given, you know, money for scholarships to be able to go to the tertiary institutions. And what we're saying is that, oh, that's fine and dandy. Well, how about primary? Let's start with the primary.
Okay.
Senator Nanadi today on our way back, she made a comment. She said when Governor La was governor, her dad, he was a trained mechanic, and he was also a farmer. So depending on the farming season, he would, you know, it depended on, and that's how, and she said she went to school with the child of a governor. And she was 1 year ahead of his daughter. And they were in the same school, the same hostel, they were friends. But you see, there's such a huge divide, such a huge gap. And when you listen to PO's conversation at the IDP, he was like, these children within the IDPs, if we do the right thing by these children, they can be senators, they can be members of the House of Representatives, they could be doctors tomorrow, they could be teachers. So,
okay, Nana, before I let you go, when PO was talking, he talked about the that Tinubu is doing well, that Tinubu is doing what he promised Nigerians that he would do, that he was going to take over from where Buhari stopped. Then he veered into talking about the state of emergency in Rivers State and the voice vote that happened in the National Assembly. You know, again, putting these things together, what is your personal assessment as to the performance of this current government, the Rivers State, obviously, and the voice vote vis-a-vis his own position as where things are today?
My personal opinions, as it is today, they align with His Excellency Peter Obi, because it's a no-brainer. Why are we having voice notes when it would be good for the Nigerian people to see how their voices reflect in the houses that represent them democratically? How is it even possible? People need to know. People want to know. That's why even Nigerians were asking for it to be televised. And then the next thing is you just say you're going to go. So Nigerians don't know whether or not 200 people said yay and 100 people said nay. Because I don't know how you can differentiate. Or maybe 250 people said nay, and, you know, it was 50 people that said yay. So, but when you do it by casting a ballot, it's clear, it's visible for everybody to see that 100 versus 250. Or 250 versus 100. I don't know why they decided to go that way. It's a scam, it's a sham of voting. The same thing that happened in 2023. And He did say he will continue from where the previous government stopped. But you see them always now blaming that government. But then again, they're making it worse. I don't think Nigerians, well, I certainly didn't think we could have gone this low so fast in 2 years, where Nigerians are poorer, where everybody is upset, where people are just angry with the government. You know, so on the streets of Nigeria, whether the government likes it or not, they have more people in the opposition than they even have within the parliament where they're working. People are really agitated, unfortunately, for this government. And I don't know, well, PO said a lot can happen in 2 years. So hopefully if they're listening, if they put their ears close to the ground, which I doubt they're doing, then they'll be able to say, okay, we will try and make a change. I don't know. But basically, there was something else you asked me, the voice notes.
Yeah, the voice.
Continuing from where, Pio was being sarcastic there.
Of course.
So when he says that they're doing well, he's scoring them based on their promises. They didn't promise you better education. They didn't promise you understand, that your democracy would work for you. They didn't promise you they didn't promise you that your votes would count. They promised you that they were going to snatch it, grab it, run it, and that democracy is not served a la carte. And that's exactly what they did. That's what they're still doing.
So they snatched it, they grabbed it, and they're running with it. At this point, I'm snatching it, I'm grabbing it from you, and I'm running, but I'm leaving you behind. Nana. Thank you very much for joining me, Nana. Thank you. So that was the voice of Nana Kazaure, the person you can see on the screen there. That's the head of communication directorate within the Obedient movement. So I come back to you, Ike, once more before we round up. You have heard Nana, you've heard the videos we played, you watched the whole interview. In finality here, again, I've asking you your take is as good as everyone already knows what you think. But I would say there is one question that he did not, answer. Some people are already making that known on Twitter. While I'm talking here, I'm reading the tweets. People are saying that he didn't answer properly, and I want to pick your brain on it. When he was asked about 2027, if he was going to run, he wasn't given a yes or no answer to that question. What's your take?
Yeah, exactly. He's not giving yes or no answer, but we are not kids, we are not children, right? We know that our principal is going to run, and we are not slacking because he have never said he's going to run. Know we're going to run, but we want to put the house in order. You were part of everything that happened in 2023, so I'm not supposed to say more. You are more of an insider, more than myself, who is far away from Nigeria.
Well, so but here I'm the one playing the devil's advocate. I know nothing.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm not trying to tell you to tell me, but what I'm trying to say is that, we want to put the house in order. You know what happened. You know what is going on right now in Labour Party. And the obedient movement. You know what transpired, and you know what happened. But thank God that those who felt that who said they are leaving, that we have already increased more people into obedience. So I think we have to set the foundation. The foundation has to be laid. We have to have a unified organization to pursue 2027. It's not going to be what happened in 2023. So I think that anybody who is saying that he didn't come out to tell you, yes, I'm running 2027. That is political strategy. He's not gonna tell you. Look at when they asked him about, are you still with Labour Party? He said, yes, I'm with Labour Party. The man pressed him more. Yes, I'm still now with Labour Party. If there is anything that is going to happen, you will know. So this has always been his his answer, because I know why he's doing that or why he said that, because Remember last year, Mr. Peter, after the election, they were asking about forming a new political party. Mr. Peter said, it's a good idea, but what of the same thing you're trying to run away from the party you are? The same people will join you in the new political party. So there is no escape in Nigeria. Even if we like form 20 political party right now, the same people you want to run away with, all of them will come back to your party and join. And you cannot stop people from joining. So it's why not? How is it possible that we if it is possible, we can make the one we are and make it more viable? But because of the devils and the demons we have, Aburi and his group, they're making life too difficult for all of us. But I just hope that we're looking at 2027. It's not far away anymore. So I think that by the time he will be able to tell the obedience, I think maybe he will have to make it quicker, so that the mind of people can get rest and know, okay, yes, our principle is going 2027. What I'm going to be my role? What am I going to do? How am I going to prepare? And I'm start preparing. Like every platform where I go, I have the opportunity. I keep telling them that we obedient, we are not giving up. We are even more firebrand right now, more than 2023. So we are preparing ourselves. We are not going to give up on anything. Our principle is not giving up Nigeria. You can't give up Nigeria. So if you have not given up, I am not giving up. No matter how frustrated I've been or what transpired in 2023, that I almost have a high blood pressure, but thank God that, we were able to sink in everything that transpired and we let go and life continues. So I think that people can say that he has never been open to it. Like, for example, the issue of Labour Party, you that is an ex, you see every time they say he's not coming out straight. They don't know where they are. A lot of people are saying they are confused. They don't know what they believe. They don't know what they are. So I know in Nigeria, he's in the system. I'm not in the system. He knows what he goes through every day. He knows what is going on. So he has to have certain strategy that is not going to let out of the bag for now. This is my own personal thinking about the
Thank
issue.
you very much, Ike, for joining me. We'll be rounding up, but I would not do that without quoting some of the quotes that he dropped today. I think let me attempt about 5 of them. He says that elections are won, elections are lost by the votes of the people.
Exactly.
And again, he says, I'm not desperate to be the president of Nigeria. I am desperate to see Nigeria work. Again, he says, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done fantastically well in continuing from where Buhari stopped. And he goes further to say, even I am being harassed for speaking against the government in Nigeria. There is no freedom of speech. And finally, he says people are with unverified certificates all over the place, criminal records and everything, and they are in charge. Now, that was a bullet that pierced the heart of Asorok.
Exactly.
No name mentioned, but those who forged certificates, those who don't even have any, and those who used their abracadabra to cover everything we know, they know themselves. Again, someone made a comment that I find very interesting. And on that note, I'll be calling this broadcast, I'll be saying good night to all of us. And the writer said, that is the Zenith Food and More. I believe that's a woman. She wrote, after listening to Peter B's interview this evening with His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi on Arise TV, I now realized why President Yaradua could not wait to do all that he had for Nigeria. These people are too good for Nigeria and Nigerians. God, please, please, please protect Mr. Peter Obi for us. On that note, I say good night, everyone. From here, thank you very much once more for joining me. I am Maze Zoke.